Tisztelt Hölgyeim és Uraim,
Ladies and
tisztelt ház,
gentlemen,
mélyen tisztelt
distinguished
köztársasági
assembly,
elnök úr,
distinguished
tisztelt
Prime
házelnök úr.
Minister, President of the Republic,
Ma
we
dolgozni
came here
jöttünk
to
ide,
work
nagy
today,
munka vár
and
ránk,
there is a lot to do,
de ebben a
but in
helyzetben
this
úgy gondolom, hogy az első
situation, I
megszólalás
believe the first
a részvét
contribution
és az együttérzés
should be
hangja
the
kell legyen.
expression of the
Ezért
sympathy.
engedjék meg, hogy a
So,
kormány és a magam
please allow
nevében
me
ház falai
that on
között
behalf
is
of the government,
kifejezzem
in my
részvétemet
own name, I
a múlt héten történt
express
katasztrófa
and we
következtében
express our
elhunytak hozzátartozóinak.
condolences to the relatives
Kívánom,
of those
legyen erejük, legyen elegendő erejük
falling
a
victim
pótolhatatlan
of the
veszteség
sludge,
elviseléséhez.
and I wish them lots of
Kifejezem együttérzésemet a
strength and
sérülteknek,
power
a
to
kitelepítetteknek,
deal with this.
és mindazoknak,
I
akiket
also
súlyos
express
anyagi
my
veszteségek értek az iszap áradat
I express
következtében.
my sympathy
Itt
to
a
all
Magyarország
those who
gyűlés
were
előtt is
affected
szeretném
by the
megerősíteni,
sludge.
hogy nem
Here
hagyjuk
also
őket
in the
magunkra,
Parliament, I would like to
segítünk
confirm
újrakezdeni az
that we
életüket
don't leave
Magyarország
them
legnagyobb
alone, and
ökológiai
we help them
katasztrófája
to
után.
restart their life after
Tisztelt
the
ház!
largest ecological
Az
disaster
események
of Hungarian
önök
history.
előtt és az ország teljes közvéleménye
Ladies
előtt
and gentlemen,
ismertek.
you all know the events,
A
what
védekezés
happened,
érdekében hozott intézkedések
as well as you
szintén.
know about the measures
Ezúton köszönöm a
taken in
hazai
order to
és a
mitigate
nemzetközi
the
sajtó
damages. Hereby,
segítő
I would like to
együttműködését.
thank the international and domestic
Úgy érzem,
media
Magyarország az
to
országgyűlési
contribute
választások
that.
utáni
I think
legfontosabb
this is the
pillanatához
most
érkezett,
important moment in the
a
history
legfontosabb
of
pillanathoz,
our government
amikor
since
el
we
fog
are
dőlni
newly elected.
az önök mai
And
munkájának is
as a
eredményeképpen,
result of your today's
valóban
work, it's
megváltoztak a
going to be
dolgok,
decided whether
valóban új
the things
korszakban élünk,
really have changed,
vagy maradt
whether
minden a
this is a
régiben.
new time, a new era, or
Az
everything
országgyűlés
remains
számára
like it
az a
used to
pillanat
be.
jött el,
This is
amikor
the
nekünk,
time in life,
akiket azért
in the
választottak meg
life
a
of the
magyarok,
parliament,
hogy egy új korszakot
that we
kezdjünk,
prove that we
bizonyítanunk kell,
who are
hogy
elected
valóban
to
új
start a
korszakot
new
nyitottunk.
era, we can prove
Arról
that
az
we have
előző
really
korszakról
started
beszélek,
and opened this new
amelyben
era.
mindent a magánérdek
I'm
írt
talking
felül,
about the
amely a
past period
hatalommal
of
való
time
visszaélés
when
rendszerére
it was
épül.
everything
A
built
magyar
on the
választók ezt a
abuse
rendszert
of the power,
megdöntötték
and this
áprilisban,
power has
és
been
alapítottak
thrown
helyette
down
egy
by the
újat. A
by
nemzeti
the citizens,
együttműködés
and a
rendszerében
new
az a világ nem
system
jöhet
was set
vissza,
up. The world
amikor
cannot
nem
be
tudjuk
brought
a
back
közérdeket
when
érvényesíteni a
the
magánérdekkel
public
szemben.
interest cannot be
Erről a magyar
enforced
választók
vis-à-vis
ebben az
the
évben
private
két
interest.
alkalommal hoztak
The Hungarian
megfellebbezhetetlen
citizens have made
döntést.
two times
Most kell tehát megmutatnunk,
a
tisztelt
firm
hölgyeim és
decision
uraim,
in this
hogy mi
respect.
valóban
So we have
a
to
választók
show,
akaratát
ladies and
képviseljük.
gentlemen, that we really
Ez az a
represent the
perc,
will
amikor
of
be kell
the
bizonyítanunk,
citizens. We have
hogy
to
Magyarország
prove
immár
that
elég
Hungary
erős és
is
elszánt
strong
ahhoz,
and
hogy a
committed enough
közérdeket érvényesítse
to
a
enforce the
magánérdekkel
public
szemben, és a magyar
interest
emberek
vis-à-vis
oldalán álljon a
the private
hatalmasokkal szemben.
interest and support the Hungarians
Ahhoz, hogy ezt be tudjuk
vis-à-vis the power
első
of
dolgunk, hogy
others.
meghatározzuk,
In order to
mi
prove
is a
this, we
feladatunk
have
a
to
katasztrófa
determine
után.
what are the tasks
Mit
of
diktál
ours after the
számunkra a
disaster and what does the
Tisztelt
public
képviselőtársaim!
interest want us to do.
Feladataink
When
meghatározásánál
determining
az a
our task,
kiindulópontunk,
starting
természeti
point is that
csapásról
this
van
is not
szó.
a natural
volt
disaster.
földrengés,
There was no earthquake,
hurikán,
hurricane,
villámcsapás,
or
vagy a szokásos
the
őszi
usual
esőzéseknél erősebb
strong
felhőszakadás.
and heavy
Emberek
rainfalls.
által épített és működtetett üzemben, emberek által
man-built,
létrehozott
man-operated
veszélyes anyag gondatlanság miatti
industrial plant
elszabadulása okozta
due to
Magyarország
negligence
legsúlyosabb
of
ökológiai katasztrófáját.
individuals.
Ezért azt is
The
világosan
most
kell
serious
látnunk, hogy a
disaster
mostani
catastrophe
helyzetben
of Hungary
mi a közérdek,
happened.
és mi
We
a
have to
magánérdek.
distinct the public
Négy,
and the private
azaz
interest.
négy feladattal
We
kell
have
megbirkóznunk.
four
Először is
tasks to deal with.
kártalanítanunk
First of
kell a
all,
károsultakat,
we have to
mégpedig mielőbb,
relieve
hiszen közeledik
the
a tél,
damages
mielőbb
of
fedél kell az
those who
emberek feje
suffered.
fölé,
So the
mielőbb
winter
helyre
is
kell állítani az
approaching.
emberek
We have to
életlehetőségeit.
provide new
közérdeke
life
az,
conditions and
hogy mivel
housing
nem
for these
természeti
people.
csapásról,
The public
hanem emberek
interest
által
is that
előidézett
as it was not a
károkozásról van szó,
natural disaster
ne
but a
az
man-made
adófizetők
disaster,
pénzéből történjen a
the
kártalanítás,
mitigation of the damages
hanem
should not be
mindenekelőtt
paid
azok fizessenek,
by the people
akik
but by
károkat
those who
okozták.
caused the damage.
those who cause the damage have their private interest, and that is to make the payment of the damages to the taxpayers and the government. We also have to provide for further working conditions in the plant. We don't want to see any more damages caused by losing people their jobs. In other words, the public interest is that the production in the factory should be restarted. Neither the region nor Hungary can be exposed to the fact that we lose thousands of jobs. On the other hand, the private interest is not to restart the work, but to mitigate or minimize their losses. Point 2, we have to prevent additional environmental damages. Public interest is that we have to clear picture of the conditions of the reservoirs and about the nature of the material contained them in the reservoirs. We have a good reason to suspect that there were people who knew about the weak walls of the reservoirs, but for their private interest, they just trusted that hopefully nothing will happen. So the private interest want just to minimize the harm. We have heard also that the red sludge is not poisonous. We cannot go on. We cannot let this go on. Point 4, we have to examine the issue of responsibility. It is a public interest that a fair and very strict examination of the responsibility be done. On the other hand, those causing the damage, they want to escape in every possible way from the responsibility. So these are the 4 main points which we have to deal with in the most efficient and effective way. But how can we do this, distinguished assembly? In the past 20 years in the world, there were large economic or natural disasters and human or man-made disasters happened. One of them, not long ago, the oil disaster in the Gulf of Mexico, and the other one, which is closer to us, and therefore it caused also for us Hungarians serious damages, the cyanide poisoning of Verespatak. In both of the cases, we felt some insecurity, not insecurity vis-à-vis the nature, but rather all these disasters make us face new situations and make us questions which are very difficult to answer, but they must be answered. These questions take us every time to the conflict, to the interest of the public and the private interest. The national financial crisis raised the very same question. What is the function of the modern state? How can we manage the challenges of the modern age? The disasters and the crises, in my view, the most important lesson for all the civilized world that we have to leave behind an illusion and a utopia. The private interest will be never forced to limit itself voluntarily and submit their own objectives to that of the public interest. There is no such mechanism. The consequence of this is that in the 21st century, this can be enforced only by the modern state or modern government. In case of a disaster and in every area where a man-made disaster can happen, the state has to enforce, and this is a primary responsibility, to enforce the public interest over the private interest. Only the state is in the position to do so. This means that we have to find a solution that brings the state into an active role in solving all the 4 tasks. This means the company causing the red sludge disaster should be put under an asset closure until we have solved all the other tasks. On behalf of the government and the parliament, this requires commitment and bravery, because we have to take very important decisions in a very short period of time. Earlier, the times were like that, the state was not assuming such responsibilities. The millionaires, the owners of the companies could always escape, so maximum only very minor positioned people could be made responsible. But then at that time the intentions was missing. But we have to show that this is a different world here in Hungary, and the Hungarian state is able to enforce in full the public interest. In Hungary, the private interest will never ever be able to override the public interest. And in a disaster situation, the public interest has to be enforced by all means. This is the authorization to what was received by the government of the national cases. So we recommend that we set up a new institution, and this is the Commissioner for Disaster Management. The government proposes the parliament to make the necessary legislative amendments in order to solve these tasks by the government. The commissioner has to have the necessary authorizations and jurisdiction. The commissioner should be responsible for supervising the mall company management and asset management of theirs in order the safe and secure production in the plant can be restarted, while we mitigate the environmental damage and relieve also the damages caused. The police arrested the Director General of the company. This is the information I wish to share with you. The Commissioner of the Disaster Management will be responsible for draw up a recommendation concerning the future of the company, so that the relief should be paid by the money, from the money of those who caused the damage, and not from the money of the citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have to prove and show that Hungary has changed. Now we need you. The pictures, the images reporting about the disaster are shocking. Those who were there ourselves, we met people, we know that the reality is even more moving than on the images. When I was there for the first time, I couldn't think of anything else, but if this would have happened in the middle of the night, everybody would have been killed. So many survived as it happened during the daytime, but their environment is dead. So in the areas which are flooded by the sludge are areas where you cannot live anymore. So our task is to enforce the rights and interests of these people. And please remember this when we have to take serious and important decisions in order to restore that region. Joint forces were joined inside and outside the country, and I invite you to join into this action, and let's act together for the interest of those people. I have submitted the necessary drafted bill in order to make this authorization, which is of key importance to work further on this matter. Thank you very much for your attention.